Hi there, welcome to kneppyinvests. I had full intentions of recording another video on Frontier Digital Ventures, doing an update video on that company, which I am bullish on over the next 5 to 10 years. And then I went, during the closing auction, I went to see an updated announcement list because, to be fair, ever since the opening of trading, not many announcements have been released. In fact, we can see it on the one page here. From 10 a.m., we've maybe had 15 to 20 announcements. And at 3:22, a company called Aeris Resources released a corporate update and financial year 24 guidance announcement and also a presentation. Now, I used to be a shareholder of this company. Then I sold my shares because I was a little bit frustrated with the management of the company, and they always seemed to disappoint. And because I wasn't a shareholder, I wasn't really following the company all that closely, but I did notice that Aeris Resources actually went into trading halt on the previous days. So on the 1st of August, they went into trading halt in regards to these announcements. And then I looked at how the market reacted to these announcements. Share price down almost 30%. So obviously, the market has not liked this particular update and the guidance from the company. So in this video, without me even looking at these announcements, I'm going to go through and see or try to understand why the market absolutely hates Aeris Resources right now. And possibly this does open up an opportunity. It's really interesting. The market cap here, according to ComSec, this is before the drop in the share price, is 263 million. So if we decrease that by 30%, we're talking about an almost 80% or $80 million drop in the markup, which means the markup of this company is now less than 200 million, which is really interesting because last April, they bought, I think it was called Round Oak from WH Soul Patterns for well over $200 million. So this company is now worth less than that particular takeover of those operations or those mines from WH Soul Patterns. So potentially, WH Soul Patterson fleeced Aeris Resources. Now let's open up these announcements. Might not look at the presentation, and the very fact I'm not following this company all that closely, some of this may be a little bit of a surprise, and maybe some of this is not a surprise to some people who follow this company a little bit more closely. Now, straight away, Jaguar to be placed on care and maintenance. Now, whenever I read that, that's not a good start. So Jaguar is one of the mines they did acquire from WH Soul Pattinson. I'm pretty sure they do zinc, that sort of thing. And so put in care and maintenance in September. So we're talking about in the next month due to forecast operating losses in financial year 24. So more than likely, when they made this acquisition over 1 year ago, they probably would not expect it making operating losses in financial year 24. Operational challenges, particularly seismic events in second half of financial year 23, resulted in optimal mine plans for financial year 24. So straight away, we can sort of understand why the share price is down 30%. Group financial year 24 guidance of 40 to 50 kilotons of copper equivalent, which probably is a little bit more than last year or this year, based on increased Triton production, but minimal contribution from Jaguar, and a new 50 million non-dilutive 2-year working capital facility secured with major shareholder. Because they made this acquisition with WH Soul Pattinson, one of the ways they made this acquisition or the costs was by giving shares to WH Soul Pattinson. I want to actually have a look at that particular acquisition because I'm pretty sure it was well over $200 million Aeris Resources had to pay. And that particular working capital facility will replace ANZ, $20 million working capital facility. So even this working capital facility could be in favor of WH Soul Pattinson. And this just reminds me, I should remind all of us, when you do have a big player like WH Soul Pattinson and a small player like Aeris Resources, whenever there is a deal between the two parties, more than likely, the favorable part of the deal will be to the bigger company. I've seen this time and time again, not only on the ASX, but also through life. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Wherever you see a major deal between a very small company and a very big company, more than likely, it's going to be favorable terms for the bigger company unless there is a reason behind it. Unless the overall deal is really favorable for the bigger company. and then you can see really good deals for both sides of the party. Anyway, it just reminds me of a company used to be called OBJ. This may be about 10 years ago. They did a deal with Procter & Gamble. Share price was zoomed up on the deal. So everyone's thinking, oh, it's Procter & Gamble. OBJ got nothing from that deal at all. Nothing at all. And they've changed the name and have changed business models since then. This was over 10 years ago, or maybe about 10 years ago. So Aeris executive chairman is Andre Labuschagne, which is the father of Marnus Labuschagne, the cricketer. Anyway, those who don't know. So he's got some commentary here. We have made the tough but appropriate decision to place the Jaguar operation into care. Between the operational challenges, lower zinc prices. I don't really follow zinc prices all that closely. So that's not a shock or a surprise to me because I don't really follow it. And cost inflation, it became obvious that the best value for our shareholders was the paused production of Jaguar. So not a very costs or efficient mine if they're putting it into care and maintenance. That's just my opinion. Still got a significant metal inventory across 4 deposits, etc., etc. Jaguar update. I think we don't have to really talk about that because they're putting in care and maintenance. Here we are, financial year 24 guidance. So they have increased there's copper by a little bit, 27.4 to between 28 and 35. Zinc, massive decrease there. It seems like most of their zinc is coming from Jaguar. So forecast 23, or financial year 23, around about 22.5, and then forecast for financial year 24 between 1.2 1.5. Slightly decrease in gold and pretty big decrease in silver as well. And mining costs coming down a little bit, processing down a little bit, and capital expenditure still spending a lot of money on sustaining and growth. Capital expenditure costs. The only thing I want to see here is the funding, this working capital facility. Here they are. So $50 million. What's the interest rate? 2 years with the ability to extend for a further 1 year. BBSY, so that's bank bill swap rates, which would be above 4% right now, plus 11% per annum. Payable monthly. Interest may be capitalized monthly. Interest will accrue, again, this is all in the favor of WH Sol Pattinson. Establishment fee, 3.5%. Exit fee, so 3.5% if paid during the first 12 months, 5% if paid after 12 months, and 5 business days before. And 8.5% of the facility limit if paid after 18 months of the term. Pretty big exit fee. That's almost $10 million. Undrawn commitment fee, make whole fee. Yeah, this is all in the favor of WH Sol Pattinson. Covenants usual for facility of this nature, including respect to net tangible assets, debt to EBITDA, and interest rate cover ratio. All right, so probably I suppose since WH Sol Pattinson is a major shareholder of Aeris Resources, that should be maybe some solace, but this could eventually be a sort of a takeover of Aeris by WH Sol Pattinson, and this will be a very good takeover because let's have a look at how much Aeris Resources paid for that acquisition of these mines. So let's have a look at the announcements in ComSec, and we have to go back to 2 years because I think it was done in April of last year, May or April of last year, if I remember correctly. So here we are, 28th of April, Aeris to acquire Round Oak Minerals, transformational acquisition, equity raise presentation. So if we just open up the first announcement, it should have a cost here. So there was an $117 million equity raising, but that's not the cost. So a purchase consideration of $234 million. It says here, attractively priced acquisition at 1.9 times financial year 23 EBITDA. So there were a few mines in this, so it just wasn't Jaguar and WH Sol Pattinson to become Aeris' largest shareholder. A lot of people like this acquisition just simply because of that. You had WH Sol Pattinson as a big shareholder, largest shareholder on in regards to Aeris, and that was a good sign moving forward, but not necessarily so. So 234 million, which, if we could find it here, so Aeris agreed to pay 234 million, $80 million cash payment, issue of 1.5 billion shares in Aeris at an issue price of 10.5. So this was before company did do a consolidation. So even though it says the issue of those 1.5 billion shares at 10.5 cents, that's not significantly lower than the share price is now. And I forget what this particular consolidation was for. I actually forget when they did that. Let's have a look if I can find it quickly. Here it is, consolidation split on July. Aeris Resources should tell us what the particulars of this consolidation was, how many shares, blah, blah, blah. Somewhere here. So 7-1. So that means the share price 70 cents. So 10.5 cents back then is equivalent to 70 cents right now. So share price is now at 27 cents. So significantly lower share price right now for Aeris Resources. So it seems like WH Soul Pattinson, this acquisition was not a good acquisition by Aeris, but it was a good acquisition for WH Soul Pattinson in regards to, well, the mine's going to care and maintenance. Let's have a look at the market cap, going market index. This is a little bit, no, it's not quite delayed. So 27 cents means the market cap of this company is now 187 million with those amount of shares on issue. So, so interesting that the market value of this company right now is significantly lower than it was when, well, for the cost they spent to acquire Round Oak from WH Soul Pattinson. That's interesting, which again tells me this was not a good acquisition by management of this company. Do we have to go through the presentation? More than likely, you're not going to get much information from this. It's probably all in the other documents we've already talked about. So if you want to know more about Aeris Resources, maybe have a look at this. They go through their mines and that sort of thing. I don't really care about their financial or the quarter results. So that's the last thing we have to have a look at is the charts. So let's have a look at the weekly chart for Aeris Resources. So I have been a shareholder of this company in the past. Am not a shareholder right now. And so as again, mostly because I've been disappointed with the management and they're just disappointed in my opinion. But between about, well, the COVID-19 financial panic when the share price got down to 19 cents, and that is again before or after, or share price equivalent after the consolidation, if that makes sense. So if you time or divide that share price by 7, you get the real share price back then. So divide 19 by 7, and back then the share price was actually less than 3 cents. Share price increased from 19 cents all the way up to $1.69. Again, divide that by 7 to get the real share price back then. So this company was looking really good. That's one of the reasons I actually took a position in this company, because they were a producing company. Looks like they were succeeding in what they wanted to do. But those share price highs we saw back in late 2021 is it for this company. And then the share price went into a downtrend. And we can see the downtrend by just looking at the daily chart here. Moved into the downtrend, share price fell all the way down in November 2022. So not that long ago, less than 1 year ago, all the way down to a low of 27.5 cents in November last year. You can see just after they released their quarterly results in October, the share price fell 17.95% on that day. Share price did reach a low the next day. So there's a beautiful bounce in the share price of this company after that. So if you bought shares in this company at around about 27.5 cents, you would have doubled your money, almost tripled your money if you nearly sold near the top. And it's hard to buy at the bottom and sell at the top. It's almost impossible. There will be someone who may have done that, but it is a really hard thing to do. And then the share price has been falling ever since February. So for the last 6 months, share price has been a downtrend. Share price has fallen from almost 80 cents now down to 27 cents. Now, why is that low back in November really important? What was the low back then? 27.5 cents. What is the share price right now? 27 cents. So the share price right now at the end of trading on the 2nd of August is right at those lows back in November. So if we see the share price fall a fair bit tomorrow, that would mean that this support level, and that old low is a support level, will probably more than likely become resistance. Fairly big volume today. Share price fell a lot the other day as well. The 7th of July, share price fell 16%. They must have released some negative announcements on the 16th of July. Let's have a look. Was it 16th of July? 7th of July, sorry, 7th of July. 7th of July, Aeris financial year 23 production guidance update. So again, more than likely that was a disappointing announcement by the company and the market reacted. And look at that. If you sold out on that day, you would have sold out at around about, say, between about 42 and 45 cents, significantly higher than it is. Now, you can see the share price just kept on dropping after that day. So that was a really an announcement to get out of. It was a bad announcement. And I do like to get out of holdings when a company does release a bad announcement, because even though sometimes share price can bounce, like we saw with Aeris Resources back in October last year, a lot of times share price of companies just keep on falling. So I'm looking for good announcements. And that's when I take a position, not bad announcements, and hope the share price bounces like it did for Aeris Resources back in November. So where will the share price go tomorrow? Who knows? We might see a bounce. This could be the low, maybe, or we could see more selling coming in over the next few days. And I wouldn't say this is a cult stock, but a lot of fund managers do mention, or experts do mention this company as a possible copper play, because copper has been all the rage over the last year or so because of perceived shortages in copper over the next few years because of the EV revolution, that sort of thing, but still has to play out like that. And copper prices are not doing well. So let's have a look at copper prices. This is one of the things I do. Always have a look at the underlying commodity. Should be doing this a little bit more often. And in fact, what I should be doing more is trading the commodity, not the commodity itself, but when the commodity is in a downtrend or uptrend, that's when I buy those companies on the ASX that are mining that commodity. So if you look at copper, it's not in a downtrend, it's just going sideways right now. Has been sort of in a short-term uptrend, but at this point in time, nothing to get excited about copper right now. And to be fair with you, if I was interested and bullish on copper, maybe Aeris Resources is not the play right now because they keep on disappointing. I prefer Hillgrove Resources because they're going to production soon. But I won't talk about Hillgrove right now. That maybe is another video for the future. So if you do have any questions about Aeris Resources, about this particular announcement, maybe you know a lot more. Maybe I missed something. There is a potential I completely missed something because this is sort of a ad hoc video. Wasn't planning on doing it. Is that the right word? Improvised video, whatever. So if you know a little bit more about this particular announcement, if there's anything I've completely missed, I'd love to hear from you. So leave it in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, that's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye. And don't forget, I'm not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for the video. Have a good day. Bye.